The Jungle Book was the last animated film that was made while Disney was alive, which is interesting because the two films that would follow would steal such an unbelievable amount of animation from it. And as Disney films go, this is another one that I probably just place in the okay category. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the more sketchy style Disney animation, at least not around this time period. They always sort of look like the pencil sketches that were painted over. It never quite looked finished to me. If you're a fan of it, great. It just doesn't do much for me. But to each their own. How's the story? Well, based off of Rudyard Kipling's book, though very loosely. It follows the story of a little boy, or man cub as the animals call him, named Mowgli. He's raised by a pack of wolves, but suddenly his life is in danger when the evil tiger Shere Khan is coming to town. Shere Khan hates man, and the wolves know that he'll rip him to shreds if he ever finds him. So a panther named Bagheera takes Mowgli to the man village. The only problem is Mowgli doesn't want to go. He wants to stay in the jungle and tries every chance he can to get away. While on the way, he comes across a friendly bear named Baloo, a marching elephant army, a crazy ape named King Louie, and a hypnotizing snake named Kaa. Well, let's talk about the good stuff. The best thing in this movie is Shere Khan. He's just a great villain. He actually reminds me a lot of Maleficent. There's not really much to his motivation, but just the style and class he has is so friggin' awesome. He is so confident in what a badass he is that it really does actually come off pretty intimidating. He just has nothing to fear.
Why should I run?
Why should you run? Could it be possible that you don't know who I am?
I know you all right.
Then you should also know that everyone runs from Shere Khan.
The snake Kaa, though not a main villain, is also pretty cool too. Some of the best parts of the movie are just all the jokes they can make with him and just how damn long he is. Don't take that the wrong way. The boy is okay. The other characters are okay. The songs are, you guessed it, okay. Actually, I take it back. The very last song that the girl sings while getting the water, actually I think is a very nice tune.
Till I'm grown, till I'm grown, I must go to fetch the water, till the day that I am grown.
I'd like to hear somebody do a different version of it because it actually is a very soothing melody. But aside from that, nothing really stands out about the Jungle Book, which is a shame because the original book is not only much darker, but it's much more interesting. The way the animal world views the human world is actually sort of a fascinating commentary. The characters are more developed too, and it follows Mowgli through sort of a coming-of-age story, which really is a shame because I think Disney could have done that story great. Chuck Jones did a version that was much closer to the book in a half hour. I found that infinitely more fascinating than this film. But as is, there's nothing really bad about the Jungle Book, except, like I said, not following the book that closely. But as its own separate thing, I guess it works out fine. It's a very basic kids film. What you see is what you get. It kept me entertained as a little kid. I'm sure it'll keep your kids entertained as well. A few creative scenes and one or two good characters definitely make it worth a watch. If you want a film that sums up all the forgettability about Disney, I'd probably point to the Aristocats. I've only seen this movie once or twice in my life, and every time I have, I've totally forgotten that I even watched it. Again, like most Disney movies, there's nothing really that terrible about it. I just can't find anything really spectacular about it, or even that good. Disney movies like this really annoy me though because it's just being cutesy for the sake of being cutesy. Okay, what's the story? This butler finds that he's gonna inherit a bunch of cats. And it turns out he hates cats. He's allergic to them and can't stand them. So he tries to get rid of them through the old-fashioned cliche of throwing them off a bridge. Which, by the way, am I the only one disturbed that that's an old-fashioned cliche? Do people actually do this? What the fuck was wrong with folks back then? Well, anyway, there are these two pretty funny dogs that chase him down, and we do get a pretty entertaining chase scene out of it. But after that, it's just the cats trying to find their way home and the other interesting cats that they come across along the way. There's no depth, there's no intrigue, there's no interesting twists and turns, there's no fun adventure. It's just cats looking cute and bouncing around to fun music. I don't know, even as a kid I remember being really bored by this movie. I hear other people liked it when they were younger, but I don't know many that like it now that they're older. I actually find it one of the weaker Disney films simply because it leaves little to no impact. Even Disney, when it made its biggest mistakes, at least left memorable mistakes. This one I never even have any memory of watching. Yeah, I'm probably being too harsh on it. It probably was meant for much, much younger kids, but from Disney, I expected a lot more. Better story, better characters, better animation. Personally, I'd skip it.
Everybody, everybody, everybody wants to be a cat. Everybody, everybody.
How many of us were introduced to Robin Hood through the Disney movie? Well, I can certainly say I was. And it's interesting because I think this is the only Disney film where all the characters are anamorphic life forms. Oh, there's other movies where they use them, but I think this is the first one where every character throughout the entire flick is half human, half animal. There's no people in it. I'm not sure why they decided to make this the only one, but it works okay. Having Robin Hood as a fox is a clever idea. Little John as this gigantic bear, that works out pretty well. And the others lend their way to a lot of creative jokes also. Okay, what's the story? Well, as Robin Hood goes, I guess it follows it pretty close. Robin Hood robs from the rich and gives to the poor in order to defeat Prince John. He's in love with the lovely Maid Marian and tries to win an archery contest but gets caught in the process, only to fight off the men through many battles and many fundraising adventures. There's a lot of the cutesiness that you'd expect from a film like this, but actually there are some very entertaining action scenes. Despite it being animated, I'd say many of these scenes are just as impressive as the Errol Flynn version. You can get away with a lot more, so it looks more impressive. Robin is pretty much your very basic nice hero, and Maid Marian is very much your very typical nice maiden. Just a nice little romance to soak up the kids' attention. They stay in their basic roles, and I guess that works out okay. Though have you ever noticed that Maid Marian just disappears in the last third until they get married? Couldn't they at least have a scene where he says goodbye to her before he goes off to adventure, or maybe she's helping out with the scheme, or maybe she's watching him as he's running away? I don't know. She had so many scenes before, why just cut her out of the third act? Well, anywho, the villain is Prince John, and he's a very fun comedic villain, especially when working off of his sidekick, Hiss. He's definitely a very femmy villain, and a lot of times that leads to a lot of very funny moments, including some great arguments with Hiss, which makes them look very much like a married couple.
No. I knew it. I just knew this would happen. I tried to warn you, but no, you wouldn't listen. You just had to... 7 years bad. Ooh. Luck.
When watching it again, I actually found the Sheriff of Nottingham was pretty funny too. He's just such a bastard in the various ways he'll find to rip people off. Even a blind person, that is evil.
What a dirty trick.
The climax is one of the best in Disney history. I know that's weird seeing how they're all cutesy animals, but it's a really suspenseful climax. The first half of it is done very much in silence. A lot of whispering, a lot of quiet music, a lot of sneaking around. And then once the cover is blown, it's just fast-paced action throughout the rest of it. It's just great because everywhere the main character turns, there's always something else trying to get him. He just cannot get a break throughout this entire scene. You got arrows flying at him, axes, henchmen, fire, and it just keeps building higher and higher throughout the castle. It's a really good setup.
Shoot him!
Overall, Robin Hood is a very good kids' adventure film. It's not great, and I don't know how many great things are really in it, but it is very entertaining. Some parts drag, but when it doesn't, it's a lot of fun. Kids will definitely love it, and my guess is some of the adults might find themselves getting sucked in as well.
Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day!
Story, better characters, better animation. Personally, I'd skip it.
Ma questo ce l'hanno affogato nel Madeira.